What can guys do to approach or talk to women without putting pressure on women?
Day game or night game?
Either way.
I think we'll start with day game because day game is more clear cut and there's a lot more pressure in day game because there's a non-alcoholic environment. On 4 Week Natural, we do 5 night game and 5 day game sessions. Night game are environments where people may be drinking and uninhibited, which is a certain type of social skill. And day game is when they're not drinking and they are inhibited or normally self-conscious during the day, which is most of us really like very, very self-conscious and a little bit stressed out. So your exact question was, what can guys do to make people feel less awkward? No, what was the question exactly?
To
Feel
um
less
not put pressure on women.
to not put pressure. Okay, to not put pressure. Um, there's a long list of things, and pressure on people. Let's just define that for a sec. Putting pressure on somebody else when you approach them is making them feel self-conscious, like they're forced to speak on a stage. That you want something from them, which is an unpleasant, uncomfortable feeling. And bad social skills, just clunky social skills. So how to not put pressure on people. Number one, when you walk up to somebody in day game, if you can have that really kind of light-hearted, dumb look, or even be a bit silly on the approach, that silliness sets a precedent that this conversation is not about to be super formal with high expectations and with a lot of pressure. So to exaggerate that into night game, if you were going to go and speak to somebody and you did a little dance when you approach, or you're like moving your hands around and said, hey, what's going on? And you show that you're a playful type of person, it shows that you're not there to be super serious. And you know how most guys are going to do it. They're going to roll up super serious, super invested, super worried, not focusing on anything else. A smart leader will know how to make things lighthearted and funny from the very beginning. So subordinates or people who feel pressured feel less pressure. They add a bit of fun to the interaction by saying or doing something fun, basically just a little dance. A little dance can help. Hey, what's up? What's going on? Happy Saturday to everybody. Hey, I'm Alex. I'm Ice, whatever. In terms of verbal turn of phrase, we've got a couple that we use in day game that are really, really valuable. So whenever we start a conversation, I'm kind of from the London and Australian school of communication skills. So we always say, pardon me, sorry for interrupting, etc., etc. And then we'll say, we'll have, start the conversation. We're very quick to introduce ourselves. By the way, let me introduce myself. My name is Alex. I live here. I work here. I'm on holidays here, whatever it's going to be. So it takes a lot of pressure off if you help her to understand who you are and where you're coming from. So one thing that a lot of students don't do is you don't volunteer the introduction the way that you should. There's a very nifty turn of phrase that you can use. And this is pure psychology trickery, I guess, or psychology mechanisms that help to move things quickly forward. You can say, by the way, I'm sure I'm interrupting. And the automatic response to that statement is, no, it's okay, you're fine. By the way, I'm sure I'm interrupting. No, it's fine. So if you're a listener, say, by the way, I'm sure I'm interrupting, you're normally going to hear back something like, no, it's fine. If you are interrupting, they'll say that. So I'm in a rush for work. I've got to get to the train. I'm going to go meet my boyfriend or husband, whatever it is. So it's a good thing to say in practice every time. A couple of other mechanisms that we use is you would then say something like, I'd never talk to strangers. Forgive me if this is awkward. So that's called calling out the elephant in the room. And then the next mechanism that we know to use is to point out that she looks overwhelmed, or they look overwhelmed. For example, you look like I've scared the hell out of you. You look overwhelmed. I'm sorry if I was overbearing with my conversation. I totally apologize. So you point out how she looks and feels, and normally it's going to be self-conscious. Oh, forgive me. I've made you feel very self-conscious. And they'll be like, oh, do I? Oh, I apologize. I shouldn't. So there's a handful of mechanisms to to take the pressure off. And I guess a broader way in starting conversations is don't be afraid to volunteer content about yourself. So talk about yourself. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm here with my friends. We've got this planned. We went there yesterday. It was really awesome. What are you doing? So lead the content so they've got something to bite into rather than just trying to milk content out of them, right? Imagine if you go to see a comedian on a stage and he's only interviewing the audience, it's not going to be very good. But he might get some details from the audience, or you might get some details from the person that you're speaking to. And then from there, you can run with that and tell stories and offer content that the listener can listen to and then work with, and that takes the pressure off or the awkwardness away. I could go on, but I think that's enough. To turn your body language away a little bit. Don't hold your breath when you're listening. Have a lower center of gravity rather than a higher center of gravity. Things like that. So there's a list of about 8 things to take the pressure off.
Very nice.